Good morning, everyone. How are we doing?
I think we all came to the consensus that we're all tired. But
All time. Well, I was about to say this morning recording. I feel like I could count the number of morning recordings we've done on like two hands. Um, Usually we record in late afternoon, evening. And so today we're recording in the morning. And so that checks out that we're all a little tired. But
yeah,
hopefully this conversation brings some energy because we have some really cool things to talk about today. So we typically start with a tradition at the Modern People Leader. We call it Good News Stories. We all share a personal or work related story from the past week, few days, just a way of sharing a little positivity. And so, uh, would you like to kick us off with Good News Stories?
Yes. Your timing couldn't be better on this one because yesterday at our company all hands, so Tanium, we just celebrated yesterday the news that for a second year in a row, we have been recognized on Fortune's 100 best companies to work for list, which is a really big accomplishment and we're super proud of it. And we've also been recognized as a great place to work for the first time in France and also for the second time in Japan. So we're feeling good. I'm feeling good. Our teams had a little celebration yesterday. Our new CEO, Dan Streetman, did a cheers for us with some sparkling cider. And we had a good time yesterday, just feeling like, it's a good way to start off our year. And so we're super proud of that. So that's my good news story.
we'll go Tanium.
Yeah.
That is good news.
Yeah.
And Steven, I know that you're probably still thinking of your good news, so I can go next. And let you stall for a bit longer. So yesterday we did a MPL group chat, and we do these occasionally. We're trying to do it on a monthly basis. And the group that we spoke with yesterday are four people that are now like our first like three timers that have come on to the Modern People Leader. It's always interesting catching up with people that we've talked to on the show. And the last time that we had spoke with them was almost 2 years ago. The amount of change that's happened in the workplace over the last 2 years, I think that that's like good news in itself. And then after we had our call with them, we were just hanging out for a few minutes on the Zoom call. And we've been trying to like crack like what a community could look like for the Modern People Leader outside of the podcast. And we got some really good feedback from the crew. So I think me and Steven are both pretty excited about that.
Oh my god. I wanna, like, spill the beans without, like, fully but it's not fully fleshed out yet, and we wanna get feedback from our current community, which includes a lot, more than 100 individuals that we've met with, and so super excited about that. My good news, I feel like the last few weeks has been like a Modern People Leader love fest, like from meeting with a lot of our guests at Transform last week. I've described it as like meeting up with long lost friends that we haven't seen in person. In this case, we had never seen in person. And it just was amazing to experience that IRL and just the energy and the positivity and the sentiment, like, it truly feels like reuniting with old friends, and the Love Fest continued yesterday, like, to Daniel's point, these are some of our earliest guests, and hearing the feedback that they shared with us because we hadn't spoken to them in 2 years, more than 2 years, just the words they were using and the feedback they gave us, it was humbling and gratifying and just reassuring that we are we are we're doing good work here. And Daniel and I think so, but it's easy to kind of like live in a vacuum when others aren't sharing feedback. And so I hope the Modern People Leader Love Fest continues. So that's my good news.
Well, I have to say, just jumping onto that, I have shared your podcasts with people since I found it with people far and wide, friends, people in HR. I love what you're doing, and I'm a big fan. So I think what you're doing has major impact. And what's crazy about it is you never know whose ears it's going to fall on, right? And it's pretty great. So I can just jump into that Love Fest and tell you that I am a big fan, and I think the work you're doing is incredibly impactful. And if anything, it just makes people feel like a part of the community, especially as we're all over the globe. So thank you for what you're doing.
Oh, you're very welcome, and thank you for joining us. Enough talking about us. This we exist, and I'll share with you the same thing I shared with our group chat yesterday. That the success is you are part of the success, like officially right now, and so let's talk about you as a person, you as a professional. I call this the Brene Brown question. Like, tell us your story.
Love it.
What what are you all about? Like, walk us through your journey and how that led to you becoming the head of leadership and professional enablement at Tanium.
Yeah. I love it. And I love the Brene Brown reference. I know that's part of it. I thought a lot about this, and I had a couple of approaches. Like, what should I say? Should I talk about my career story, which it's pretty wild, and it's like many, it is not what you would expect. And so I will share that, but I have to back it up and talk about kind of like where the person behind the career kind of like came from, because I think that's really important. So I grew up in a small home. I grew up in New York, which people can probably tell from the second they hear me speak, even though I've tried really hard to get rid of that New York vibe. But, I had two older brothers, small home, two working parents, like many people. And, it really pushed me to, for better or for worse, understand the power of having a voice, honestly, and knowing when to use it. And I think from an early age, I sort of just learned a lot about how to step back and listen. Like, what does it mean to learn when you can have influence and when you can't? I was scrappy, I was innovative, I was super curious. And honestly, I spent a lot of time just trying to keep up with, my brothers or with my family or with what was happening. And so what that did was it really made me think about what was important to me, how I could go out and get what I wanted. And it gave me this sort of drive that I think has then propelled me to do everything else. It also made me fiercely independent. And then it really led me to the last thing, which then led me to a career, which was very similar to you, Stephen. I spent a lot of time writing as a young kid. My parents were those kind of parents who there was no TV. There was like that tiny little black and white TV that you like could pick up and turn the channel dials. Like, I'm sure I'm so old even saying that. As a result, right, I read and I wrote and I loved learning. And I realized from a young age what the power of really learning could do, and how it felt like if you could learn something new, it can lead you anywhere. And if you followed your curiosity, it could lead you anywhere. And so that was kind of the heart of what happened. Now, fast forward, many years. And I think that as far as a career goes, I ended up going to Columbia for grad school. And the reason that's important is because at that time, I already knew I wanted to do something with learning, something with education. What I didn't know at the time was that there was a movement for charter schools. And so my early career was not in tech. It was not in cybersecurity, what I'm doing now. It wasn't even in the private sector. It was actually founding public schools. And so the first thing I did after I was at Columbia was I had an opportunity to join a couple of other people and be a founding member of a from scratch, roll up your sleeves and build a school. And that was like my first real career. So that's what we did. I took my master's. We applied for a grant. We were given this grant, and we started a high school, a charter high school from scratch, handpicked our students, and we started off with a group
Wow.
of 25, and some of them are probably listening to this podcast right now. And they are now adults with careers. Some of them are married, have babies. And, it's wild to think about that. And what drove me to do that was just seeing like there are people, young people all over who have insane potential. And for whatever reason, there's overcrowded schools, people falling through the cracks. And I just was driven to find a way to create equity through education, opportunity through education. And honestly, seeing people being able to be their best selves and watching people find out who they are through access to learning. Once you have that taste of that, for me, I just knew there was nothing I wanted to do more than do something to do with learning. From there, I started to lead, right? I started to lead teachers within that, right? Building a school, you're innately a leader. Like you're the principal, you're the teacher, you're the guidance counselor, you're the janitor, you're kind of doing that. Then you're hiring teachers and then training them. And that kind of inherently you learn, right? What it means to lead. How do you get respect? How do you build a community? And then that was really my first taste of the power of building an intentional culture. And that if you want a place not just to be built, but to thrive and to last, that you actually need to pay attention to culture. And that's what really drove me to a lifelong passion of being in the people org, in a people team, and connected with people. So that was my early foundations. From there, I had an opportunity to then move. I moved to Uganda, and I was able to then do similar work there with the ministries of health and education, building some health resource libraries, building schools and training some educators there in Kampala, Uganda, for a period of time, which gave me access to see, okay, across cultures, guess what? There's a lot of similarities, like whether you're in Uganda, and then I later had an opportunity to go to India and study on a Fulbright, again, learning and education. And what it taught me was whether you're in Delhi or in Kampala or in New York or later did the similar work in East Oakland, the similarities across cultures are people want to learn together. People thrive when they feel seen and heard. And that when you pay attention to culture, unbelievable things can happen. And so that's kind of my early story.
Wow. I love it. And there's so many things that I wanted to like jump in and add
Yeah.
comments, but Daniel's like, you got to let our guests talk, Stephen. And so, first, like, I feel like it is it was like a rite of passage having one of those, if you're like Gen X or older, having one of those TVs and having the tenacity to find the channel, because you would like move the dial on those black and white TVs where you kind of had to find the channel. I know exactly what you're talking about. It's like
Yeah.
they never worked and they're like awkward little antenna rabbit
Do
ear
you remember
things that you had to mess with.
I used to have to take a hanger, a wire hanger,
Yes.
and
Yes.
and then holding it like in the exact right position so that we could get reception and watch like, the A team. Yeah.
I totally remember that, and most of our guests probably do not even know what we're talking about, or
I don't.
sorry, excuse me, guests, our audience. Yeah. So, and you know what? The second thing that caught me was shout out to your parents. Like, what an amazing thing to I guess instill in your kids or your daughter. I have two daughters, and I love that your parents pushing you to find your voice and knowing, not only finding a voice but knowing when to use it. I think is just such an amazing thing, to a gift to give your children. And I think that's just so awesome. And so I want to learn a little bit more about Tanium and what you guys do. And so when you're at a party or you're with your aunties or whomever, how do you describe what Tanium does to kind of the layperson?
Holy moly. Okay, great. Well, I can tell you that if I'm at a party and I'm talking about Tanium, this is not good. So I should not be talking about work.
Fair
I
enough. Fair
should
enough.
not be talking about work. Okay. No, but I sometimes do. I'm like, okay, let me tell you about, because I love, love, love the culture. But so Tanium, the way I would describe it, first of all, Tanium was founded in 2007 by a father and son team named David and Orion Hindawi. And that's important because there's something about that when you have a company that is built by a father and son team. It's been like like a startup, and that they've stuck through it. And we actually have our first CEO who's not the founder of the company for the first time just in the past 2 months. And so it's just now shifting. But since inception, it's been founded and run by the father and son team that has built the company. So there's been just a lot of, right, it's the blood, sweat, and tears. And it's that investment. Sweat equity has gone into Tanium. So it's a rapidly growing cybersecurity company. It's a technology platform, and it provides endpoint management solutions. So I'll tell you what that means for the layperson. So we provided a single platform that can identify where all of your data is and secure it and protect it and provide critical security controls for it. So I'll give you an example. You have 2,000, let's say, endpoints. What that means is different computer systems. Let's say you're a school district, which is one of our recent customers. And you might have 800 of these that you don't even know that they're vulnerable to security breaches. So what Tanium does is we allow control and visibility and remediation for every single endpoint in real time to provide maximum security so that there are no security breaches, so that vulnerabilities are detected in real time and can be dealt with in real time. And also to just let our customers know where they are vulnerable, because 94% of companies have vulnerabilities that they're entirely unaware of. If you asked a company, how many endpoints do I have? In other words, how many computers or systems out there do I have? They'd say 1,000. It'd be like, well, it's 1,700 or something like that. So this is what Tanium does, if I could describe it kind of in real terms. I mean, some of our customers are, for example, like 5 branches of the US Armed Service, 70% of Fortune 100 companies, financial institutions. And here's what's crazy. $160 billion will be spent on cybersecurity each year.
Wow.
Yeah, right? Yeah.
That's
And
crazy.
what else is crazy is organizations, most of them that aren't necessarily using a solution like Tanium are using various solutions. So in other words, you're going to buy multiple platforms, you're going to try to get it right, you're going to patch a bunch of solutions together, and you're going to waste resources and time and energy and a lot of money trying to figure out all of the right solutions. So the average company uses 43 different tools for IT and security at one time. And a ransomware attack occurs every 11 seconds. And so Tanium provides the solutions for this. I'm not trying to freak people out, but it's just true.
Well, and I was gonna say earlier, like you've never been busier. I've got to imagine the last few years have just been, a very busy time for you all.
Yes, yes.
And so, go ahead. Go. Sorry.
No, I was just going to say, I mean, yesterday during one of the leadership sessions, we talked about, what is one of your absolute values as a leader? And people talk about agility. Right now, we've got to be agile because change is the number one thing we are never, ever bored. Yeah.
Love it. Love it. And so, why should we be jealous that you get to work at Tanium?
Okay, so there's a few reasons, but I thought about this question, and I have to say it's the only place I've worked where Tanium really lives its values. And I know every company has values and they have a mission statement. And actually, when I interviewed and in the interview committee, they talked about our 3 values, and I thought, a little bit like eye roll, values. Yeah, everybody's got the values. There isn't a person, and even our customers know exactly what the values are. I mean, we really live them. So we do the right thing, we are unstoppable, and we win as a team. And these 3 values are so simple. And what's crazy about that is there is not a day where something will happen, whether it's, hey guys, I'm swamped. Can I get somebody to help me? Or I reach out to another team, or I need somebody to look over something and somebody doesn't step up and say, I can help, even though I've got a lot of other things on my plate. We also intentionally walk our values every day because we have, like, if you're nominating somebody for a shout out, whether it's a team meeting or a global all hands, we do shout outs, we do recognitions, and they're always aligned with a value. Which one of these values is this person walking, exemplifying, being unstoppable or doing the right thing? People will always ask, how can I help? What can I do? And I feel lucky, and then there's other stuff. I mean, it also helps when people recognize your company, like Great Place to Work in Japan. I mentioned that earlier. We won Great Place for Best Workplace Well-being in the UK just this year, 2023. I mean, we've been on People Companies That Care list. Just having that recognition, it's not just that we know it and we feel it, but it's recognized, which means, you guys, we can attract really good talent. People want to work for us, and we're able to really bring in not just incredibly smart people who can execute, but actually also people who strongly believe in the same values and who want to do the work. So you're busy, you're working your butt off beside high performers, but you're also in a place that deeply cares. And I find that to be a unique recipe.
Yesterday, one of our guests on our group episode was talking about how the companies that are creating these win at all costs cultures are not going to be sustainable. And when I look at your values and it's do the right thing, unstoppable, and win as a team, the one that sticks out to me is do the right thing. It's
Yeah.
so easy to take the shortcut or I don't know, there's so many decisions that we make every day in the work that we do. And I don't know if I could just live my life by these three values, I think I'd live a pretty good life. So love the
Yeah.
values at Tanium.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, I love them too. And I have to give a shout out to our CAO, our Chief Administrative and Operating Officer, Bina Chirezia, because, she has created, she's our, head of our operations. And, she and our Chief People Officer, Tobias Julin, have created this and really, really help. It trickles down. It's just, you feel it. Even yesterday, seeing them and, everybody gives each other a hug. Like we're happy to be working together and respect each other. Yeah.
Well, I love the early shout out. All right. So can you give our listeners an idea of, what you're doing every day as the head of leadership and professional enablement? Like what does your day-to-day look like and what are some of the things that you're focused on right now?
Yeah. It depends on the hour. I mean, kind of wearing a lot of hats. I think a lot of people are right now, as people are doing, I think, a lot more lately. So I'm wearing a lot of hats, but mostly what I'm doing is I have built out a roadmap that falls into two lanes. One is leading at Tanium and one is growing at Tanium. And so I spend a lot of my time and my team really looking at building out trainings, programs that align to one of those two tracks. So supporting current people leaders in what they need, whether that's a 6-week foundational leadership training program, which I'll tell you about, or whether that's developing critical skills, or whether that's teachers as leaders. So there's a lot of these very specific programs. I mean, leaders as teachers, flip that I'm focusing on. And then the other track is growing at Tanium, which is for all of those people who are wanting to grow in their career. We're spending a lot of time in career growth and development. It's actually we're responding to our Pulse survey, engagement survey on let's look at what is the company talking about? What do people want? They want to grow. How do I grow my career? What's my next step? Can I have a reach assignment? So we're really looking at focusing a lot of our team on how do we support those people who are high potential, who are motivated, and who want the opportunities to grow their skills, their careers. Maybe they want to be people leaders. What does that look like? What's the next step? So we do that. The other thing that we're doing a lot of, you guys, is spending time really building cohort based learning. And I know we're going to talk about this when we look at some of the programs, but I do spend a lot of time working with like our HRBPs. There's a lot of partnership there around what's working. What does the business need? Talking to our function leaders and really doing a lot of listening sessions, like what's happening in the business? What are leaders talking about? What are the pain points and how can we address them to support the business at large and to make sure that people aren't stagnating? So those are the things like I do on a day-to-day basis. It might be anything from updating web-based training to leading and facilitating a training to joining a leadership team meeting, kind of runs the gamut.
And so this I'm jumping in because I'm just
Yeah.
curious. I want to ask about the balance between online learning
Yeah.
and cohort based learning. So if I understand you correctly, these cohort programs are smaller groups, kind of more tailored learning and development programs for smaller group consumption. And I feel like we were, especially in the early days of the podcast when we were still effectively operating with lockdown orders and everything, but yet we were growing. It was like this weird place to be, and it was like grow, 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 scale, scale, scale.
Mhm.
And how have you all balanced the need to have learning and development programs that scale and learning and development programs that are effective.
Yeah, this is a really good one. Like, wouldn't it be great if I just had the answer and then everybody would be like, oh, this is how you scale?
I would pause it and I would say, hey, why don't we talk about launching a business? Because I think that's $1 billion business right there.
I mean, that's literally always the question, Stephen, is how do you create meaningful programs that are sticky and that scale and that are cost effective? I mean, come on, and oh, by the way, measure and with really impactful measurements. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Right.
Got to calculate the ROI.
So this is like the unicorn program, but actually I do have an answer for this. And it's funny because I talked about this very recently with my manager about, okay, like when I was building out the we're in FY24. No, we're in FY24, even though we're in 2023. So if I say that, I'm not making a mistake. It's just the way our company is working. And the answer to that is here's what we're doing right now. And it's been a year and a half to 2 years of this, and it keeps working. So we keep building on this model. So we're doing hybrid, and I'm sure you've heard of this. I'm sure people are talking about this, but this is the way we're kind of building a hybrid model. So I'll take like our newest program, for example. So we built out a program called the Skills and Performance Program. It's a program that's not necessarily just for leaders, but it's based on what we did was we got strategic learning plans all across our enablement team for all of our major stakeholders. So everybody, marketing, sales, engineering, everybody across the company. We looked at themes. What are people asking for the most? And where can we drill down soft skills? What are those critical skills that are going to enable everyone function agnostic to thrive? And the first one that my team came up with was the one that is the most critical right now is influential communication. And that's huge, right? What does that mean? Difficult conversations, feedback, presentations, everything. Influential communication. So I said, okay, let's build out this model that allows for something that is relatively scalable, but also engaging. So here's what we do. We have cohorts of 50, which is larger than we would normally have any virtual cohort. We run them 2 at a time, so 2 different facilitators, but they're on the roadmap, so 100 per quarter. They are open to anybody who wants to join, but we do try to focus primarily on people who are not people leaders, but people who are growing in their careers. And we built out a curated learning path that aligns directly with those skills that we utilize a combination of some TED Talks, some articles that we've used from Jana, a resource from Franklin Covey, some LinkedIn Learning that spent a lot of time curating this path, and then provide that on a weekly basis. They are in accountability groups. They meet weekly in their accountability groups. There's a public tracker that tracks what they're meeting on. They have discussion points and really specific. So imagine like your online learning, you're getting your degree online, right? It's a very similar model. They then post videos on our Slack channel. And so we all are communicating that way. We share our aha moments. We all reply to each other. And then they track each other. They track who's completed the work. And then we all meet in week 3 for a 3-hour session that builds on that work and that content, where they do like breakout groups, highly engaging work. They all meet each other. They do like big case studies on, current issues, problems. They practice. And then they have post-session learnings that they continue. With that, we also do a pre and post assessment. So like, here are the critical skills before you go in. And then a month out, we'll encourage people to take that same survey and sort of look at some of those critical skills growths. So in that sense, it's scalable. It still does require that element of being together, but most of that learning occurs because they're doing it themselves, but they're highly accountable, as opposed to just like, I'm taking web-based training, la, la, la. Like I might do it, or I might be doing it and I'm checked out. They're in it. They're talking to each other. They're posting. And they're meeting each other, like every person who does this is meeting somebody they've never met before in the company. So that's a model we use.
Yeah, no, and thank you so much for sharing that, because I do feel like finding that balance is so difficult for all the the entrepreneurial HR practitioners out there. Like I feel like you could be a consultant that helps companies design programs like you just walked us through,
Mhm.
and how to achieve that balance. Cause what I love about what you just walked us through is it's not an either or, right?
Yeah.
There are elements of a custom training with foundational the tools that are part of that program include the scalable things that you already have as part of your programs like LinkedIn Learning, et cetera. And so you kind of weave the two together, which I think is really unique and cool.
Thanks. Yeah, it's I have to say, we just wrapped up one of our cohort trainings. I think it was like 2 weeks ago. And I mean, we have an NPS out of 5, and I mean, we got like a 4, 9 out of 5, and 100% of people said that they would recommend it and find it relevant. And for a training that's new, that we built entirely in-house, we were shocked. It was
Yes.
a shocking response to that training.
That's
Mhm.
that's great. And my big beef with online learning is, I in my years at Goldman, one of the things that was really kind of ingrained in me, there's so many things that were ingrained in me from my time at
Mhm.
Goldman, but one of which was, action-based learning.
Yeah,
And like it to the extent that you learn, and I forget the metrics, but the learning retention is like multiples higher if there is a component of like action-based learning, like applying the things that you were just taught in like a practical way. And again, going back to the cohort program that you just walked us through, there are elements of that. And I think that's so important, but you lose that with most online training programs. And so because it's just like a answer, interpret, answer, digest, answer, and but you're not like doing anything with that information.
totally. And the other thing too is first of all, if they're mandatory and they're web-based, it's like, oh God, it's perfunctory. I'm just doing it. I'm okay. But the other thing too is that there's wait lists for these programs, you guys. Like people want to do them, and it's not, sometimes I'm like, why? What is it? Is it the learning? Is it the cohort based? Is it? But honestly, people continue to give us. We like, I do focus groups. We do a lot of qual feedback where I'm reading it all. Like, what's up, guys? How do we make it better? What do you like about it? What should we continue to do? Tons of that, and the feedback is consistently like, we love learning together. And we know that. This is not so like this is not a hot take. I mean, we love learning together. Every people do. And but like, wow, you're going through something in the eng team or in, the customer org or on the people team, or, oh, I just met a senior recruiter who I've been here 8 years. I never would have ever met this person. And guess what? We just shared something that we're both going through and workshop together. So, that piece is huge. And it also reinforces accountability, like you're accountable to the other people. So it motivates you more to sort of show up and kind of do the work and bring your best self into it. Yeah.
So I want to. There's a couple of questions that I don't think we're able to get to, but I'm going to skip to the lead pilot. Is that still what y'all are calling it?
Yeah, we just
Okay.
totally. Thanks for asking. We changed the name because you guys were not calling managers anymore. Managers are leaders. This is hot. This is a hot take. Um,
Oh yeah.
yes, I
Spicy.
love this. It is spicy. It's another way of creating intentional culture. So yeah, it's a rebrand from, it used to be called MAP, the Manager Accelerator Program. It is now called LEAD. And by the way, this is the first that anybody's hearing of this because we haven't even told anybody that it's called LEAD yet. Literally, no one. So you're the first to hear this, and it's the Leader Accelerator program. And then we are actually changing a lot of our branding because we're also not calling employees anymore. We're calling them team members. So again, intentionally building some culture. Yeah. Yeah. So
And can you share more about this program?
yeah, totally. So the program is 6 weeks. It is a program for anybody who's a people leader. So whether you have one direct report or whether you're leading a team of 700, and we've had everybody across the gamut, right? Like it's a mandatory, if you are new or you're newly promoted, it's mandatory. But about close to 90% of the people leaders at Tanium have graduated from this 6-week training program. You do have to go through all 6 weeks. You get to go through all 6 weeks, sorry. And what it is it builds, right? So it's cohort based. It's both hybrid. So we do partner with Franklin Covey for online learning content, and then we've curated weekly content to support each one of the virtual instructor-led trainings. So week 1, it starts with vision and values, and then you are assigned this learning in Franklin Covey that supports you. So creating a vision statement. What are your values? How do you make your values come to life? Session 2 is shaping your culture. So building trust and rapport, but primarily focusing on credibility. How do you build credibility? What does that mean? And then it builds, right? So then week 3, we practice powerful feedback and one-on-ones. Week 4 builds on that. We look at coaching, specifically coaching through change. And then week 5 builds on that, where we're really executing against our goals. So that's building what are OKRs and how do we build SMART goals and how do we support our teams in executing on their goals. And then the final week is making commitments to your growth as a leader. We also include with it a 360 assessment.
And I
Wow.
might be misremembering this, but is this the program that is taught by leaders internally?
That's a different one.
That's a
So
different one. Okay.
yeah.
Got it.
We got a lot going on. Yeah, that's a program that we also have for people who graduate from this lead program. And
Okay. Got it.
yeah, and that program is Leader Deep Dives, Daniel, and that's the one where we have one per quarter, and it's about critical leadership topics. So everything like difficult conversations was one of them, delegating like a boss. I mean, all of these different topics that people are like, yeah. And then we bring in about 3 for sort of fireside chat conversations with leaders all across the company, and they talk about how they do it. What are the best practices, what to avoid. And then it's open invitation, kind of first come, first serve invites. And so we're really trying to flip the script a little and really, again, sustainable. We can't continue to facilitate everything in-house. So let's bring in the experts, people who know how to do this well, bring them in and have them talk about how do they delegate, or what does it mean to really prioritize, or, how do you identify what's the alligator closest to the boat, right, for your team. And so, yeah.
I like how if you work at Tanium, let's say you start as an IC, there's a program for you to develop your soft skills. And then let's say you get promoted to a manager, then you're going into to lead, and it's a 6-week training program. And then once you graduate from lead, then sorry, what are you calling this one?
Leader deep dives.
Okay, yeah. There's a program for everybody. And I'm curious, what has the reception been like? Like for the managers or the leaders at your company that have gone through this 6-week program or are in these deep dives, what's the reception?
People, well, there's wait lists for everything. So I feel like that's it. And if we could have more, I mean, if we could, build the team out even more, we'd probably have more people. So I think that says a lot. People love the programs. I mean, people want to join. They want to hear from each other. They have a lot of respect for the leaders who are teaching. And then the NPS scores are we always joke, my manager will joke and say, for most people, having a 4.5 out of 5 is good. I'm like, oh, our NPS scores are high, you guys. They're 4.7, 4.8, 4.9. People love the programs. And the feedback is honestly the biggest piece of feedback we get is more. Can we have more time? Can we have more programs? Can we do this more?
Well, and you mentioned earlier you would do more if you had a larger team, and so I'm curious, what does your team look like? Let's talk shop a little bit. What is the team structure? How did the facilitators, is it what's the facilitator model look like, and how are you deploying this across the company?
Yeah, this is like the question that makes me sweat. Um, like so the team we're global enablement, right? And then within that, we've got our global enablement team is quite large. It's 84 people, right? And then we have sales enablement and technical enablement are the largest teams, and then we have our leadership enablement team, which is where these programs are run out of. And so what we do is honestly beg, borrow. not steal, but we do a lot of collaboration, where we'll take a
Hmm.
facilitator who's, like our facilitator will bring in an external facilitator if we need to, or another facilitator who's a sales coach who's really excellent and who's got credibility, and kind of really share the love, do a lot of training the trainers, building that out. And then we've got a team who have a lot of support on the back end from my team on all of the kind of like registration pieces and all of those critical communication plans. So we work closely with HRBPs to support the team, and everyone in enablement steps up. So we have this kind of very dotted line model for everybody to support all of these trainings, because right now, um, at least in enablement, most of the team, at least right now, we're not hiring is slowing. We're not growing the teams right now, but we're also really trying not to slow what we're able to offer the business. Yeah.
Yeah, what a great chance to get ahead on your pipeline of,
Mm.
for the programs, right? Because the total number, the denominator isn't getting bigger right now. So like, let's try to get more people through. And
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 not
so
burn out.
and not burn out. Yeah. And well, and it may be too late for that, right? Because I can imagine the work that has just gone into designing the programs and deploying the programs and now managing them and keeping them fresh. And so I unfortunately we're running out of time, but I want to go back to something you mentioned earlier around culture enablement, I think is what you called it. The decision to change the the terminology, or the nomenclature for managers and for employees. And I'm just curious, what were the conversations that led to that with your leadership team? I've got to imagine this a change like that is going to get visibility all the way at the top, right? And so, what went into kind of those conversations, and ultimately what led to your CEO or your CHRO deciding like, yes, this is the right thing to do to strengthen our culture?
Yeah. This is a good question, because it's really just honestly happening like as we speak. In fact, I would venture to guess that anyone who's listening to this podcast who's maybe at Tanium is like, I didn't know that. You guys probably heard it first. So it's happening right now. We have a new CEO. His name is Dan Streetman. And we also had a Tanium kickoff recently, and where we announced this. Bina, our CIO, announced this change. And it wasn't even about like conversations or negotiations. It was really about how does the language we use and the way we refer to people further support our values and our culture. And it's quite simple, right? We're all leaders. If you're a person who is responsible for a team, one person, other people, and even if you're not, like, you're a leader because you're working at Tanium. You're not just managing, you're leading and embody those leadership traits. And it really means we're invested in you. We see you as a leader and see yourself that way and speak about yourself that way. And so there's that cultural shift. And again, employees versus team members, also no ICs, because no one's an individual contributor. You're all part of the team. So we're really even moving away from calling people an IC. You're not an IC. You're looking around and you're always winning as a team. So if you're an IC, you're not really embodying the value of one as a team, right? So you're a team member. We all are. And that changes the mentality of there's no I, we're all in this together, and I'm a leader. And every decision I make is going to embody that value. Yeah.
I love that. I wish we could dig in, but we have 2 we have 2 minutes left on the clock. So let's get into rapid fire questions. So question 1, how do you define a modern people leader? What are the traits and characteristics?
Yeah. For me, curiosity before judgment. And I had that before Ted Lasso, by the way. People like, oh, it's Ted Lasso. No, but really curiosity, and that's aligned with empathy, and that's aligned with really seeing a person as a whole person, and leading servant leadership, right? Like leading as I'm with you. What can I do? There's no like this hierarchy idea of, oh, you should be doing this because of X title, right? A leader, a real modern people leader, sees the team and sees a whole person and leads through that whole person. And the other thing is also one size doesn't fit all. I mean, if you're a modern people leader, you're really looking and saying, is what I'm doing landing with you, Daniel, or you, Stephen, or how do I change what I'm doing, slightly adapt it based on who I'm working with, and open up your eyes, to see the whole person.
Love that. All right, question 2. If you could go back in time and talk to a 22-year-old you, what career advice would you give yourself and why?
Holy moly, this is my favorite question for sure. Um, Here's what I would say. You never know who the person is and where they're going to pop up in your life again. And nothing could be more true. I'm even getting chills saying it. That person who you chatted with 8 years ago when they were just, when they were in a coordinator role, or you were in a coordinator, or that person who was your CRO and now that they're looking for a job. Like, you don't know who you worked with and where they're going to pop up and how your network is going to need you, or you're going to need them, or where you're going to collaborate. So always treating everyone with dignity, curiosity, um, and just assume you're probably going to see them again, work with them again, ask them for a job, etc.
I think that's the second or third time we've heard something to that
Right.
effect. All right, last rapid fire question. This is just a time for you to give as much love as you can possibly give in 30 seconds to the Tanium team. So this is the shout outs. Do you have any shout outs you want to give to people?
Oh my gosh, then I'm inevitably going to leave people out, and I don't want to do that. But I actually earlier I gave my shout outs, and I really credit a lot of the culture building to Bina, to Tobias, and I currently have a manager. His name is Brad, and he'll probably watch this. I don't know if he'll make it to the end, but if you do, Brad, I we had our conversation yesterday where I'm shouting out to him because I'm in an environment and in a team where um, you're allowed to fail. And so shout out to a culture that allows you to take some chances and learn from mistakes, because that's how innovation works. So that's my big shout out. Yeah.
Well, we're now at the end.
Yeah.
Yeah. We we have had the amazing opportunity to grow the modern people leader community. Like I said earlier, every single guest we've had on the show is a part of our success. And the majority of the guests that we brought on have come to us organically, from people like yourself that have recommended, like, hey, this person is just doing amazing work and you absolutely need to have them on your show. And so my next question is, who would that one or two individuals be for you? Who are the must-have people that we need to just magnify, what they're doing, and share what they're doing with the world?
Yeah. I love this question. The first person that comes to mind is somebody. His name is Ralph Laura, and he is a time tested. See, he's actually a CTO and a CIO, so he is not in that people space. But I have to tell you that I worked with him a long time ago, and I've never seen a person embody servant leadership and humility on such a level as this person. And he grows teams of people that will follow him, that adore him. He is a thought leader and just an absolute giant of a person, and one of those people who has an influence on people and doesn't even know it. And years later, you think about, gosh, man, that guy was really a good leader. So he would be the person that I would give a shout out to.
Love
Right.
it. Love it. Well, we'll definitely reach out to Ralph and we'd be honored to have him on the show. And that gets us to our final tradition. One word or phrase close. We all respond with, something that we're gonna leave this episode with. And so yeah, who wants to kick us off?
I can go first. I'm going to say curiosity before judgment.
I love that. I love that.
Yeah. How about you?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with intentional culture.
Ooh, yeah, I love that. And I'm gonna go with have a voice. I keep going back to your parents and what they shared with you, and I just think that's so amazing. Well, thank you so much for joining us. I know you need a run, and so We'll go ahead and say goodbyes, but this was an amazing conversation. Thank you so much for joining the Modern People Leader.
Thank you so much for having me on. Thanks, guys. Really appreciate it. Good to see you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.